Hi everyone, I'm Dan Dilatorre. Welcome to my first ever video on my channel, and forgive the imperfections. This is the first time I'm ever doing this, and I can't think of any better way to start my channel. And this will be a simulcast, by the way. This will also be on the Ian Hoodrat Network, which I have close ties to. He's a brother, he's a friend, he's a member of the family. So anyway, let's get started with this. The very first video that I'm going to produce on my channel is an EGS unboxing. We're going to open this box up right here. And yes, let me repeat that. An EGS unboxing. Not a CGC, not a CBCS, not those other outfits. No, EGS. Quick background. After CGC decided to change the way that they slab and rate and profile their books, especially on their label, I lost all faith and trust in these people. So I decided that I'm going to go ahead and take a leap of faith and go with the company that I did win. They have won over my trust, and that's Tony Trambata and EGS Slabbing Company. They're the grading company's out of Florida. And so I sent some of my heaviest grails here. I've got the box here, and so let's begin. Now, I've got a lot of friends in the YouTube community, including Chris from Journos. And Chris from Journos has something called Red Deadly whenever he opens a box of anything. Well, I'm going to try to upstage my friend Chris. I'm working on the title now. This is going to be called the Steel Assassin. That's my hunting knife here. I was going to say something else like Craven or whatever, but no. So Chris, I got you beat on the knife here. Let's see if this works here without stabbing myself. So as I unbox this, guys, the thing you need to know is that, again, I've wanted to grade my comics for the longest time, and this is long before the pandemic. And I was all like everyone else, going to go with CGC because, again, they had a great reputation. They were clearly and still are the leader in for grading and so forth. But what they did in 2022 was change the way that they graded their comics. And basically, the way I'm treating that or looking at that is that it's not honest. It's not an honest way to present the book, because if you read any description on any product that you purchase, you are counting on that to be inside the can or the box or whatever that you're buying. And so when CGC changed that, and they seemed very deceptive, you had to go, for example, to their website to check out the grader's notes and all that. The whole thing just turned me off. So again, I'm trusting Tony with this. This is my first time looking at these. The box is now just open. So let's put this down and take an honest evaluation of this whole thing. Oh, okay, here we go. He did packages nicely. So let's start here. This is not one of the ones I sent in, but this is a little bonus one that I got from Comic Book Canon. I had come up with a picture that I submitted on one of their contests, and Tony he's a very generous man, and this is one of the prizes. This is Spawn number 297, and God, he gave this a 9/8 white page. Look how beautiful this is. And this is the first time I'm seeing the new slabs from EGS. They are gorgeous, but that's not what I sent these books in for. Let's look at the ones that I did send in, and we'll take them in no particular order. Let's start with this one here. And again, these are my deep grails. If I'm sending my best comics, it's telling him and everyone else that I trust this company. Now let's take a look here. Oh, this is pretty. This is really, really pretty here. Yeah, Tony and I talked about the labels, because the custom labels mean an awful lot. But more than anything else, it's the grade itself. He was spot on with the grade. I agree with this completely. And having a professional like Tony and EGS grade these and slab these are beautiful cases. These are really solid cases. I think these are the best cases out there, honestly. They seem more solid than the CBCS, and I've got the new CBCS slab. It's not bad. It's certainly a step up from the second generation, and everyone knows what the CGC case is, but these CG cases are gorgeous. Let's start with this first one right here. And forgive me, I'm going to take the plastic off. Forgive the that little sound that it makes. And it's this one right here. First appearance of Ghost Rider. Marvel Spotlight number 5. I got this a number of years ago when it was still before the boom. This presents beautifully well, and it is indeed the origin of the first appearance of the Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze. Anyone would be delighted to have this in their collection. That's the first one I sent. Let's continue on down the road here. This is Christmas for me. I talked to Tony yesterday. I said, because he wanted me to open it yesterday when I got it from the post office. I said, no, I'm going to treat yesterday like it's Christmas Eve. This is Christmas morning. I'm now opening the slabs up, and now so here's my next present to myself. Thanks to Tony. Oh, this is pretty. Now Tony had he's such a professional. He gave me a number of options, and he wanted to press a couple books that I didn't expect. The Marvel Spotlight was one of them. I didn't think that would be worthy to be pressed. He said, "No, you can get at least a half-point grade if we did that." And I'm glad that he did, because he gave me a 3.0 on that, because I was thinking that was probably a 2.5. But that's now with the pressing, it made a huge difference. So let's put this here carefully here. Here's another one that I am just delighted to have in my collection, and this is something I probably will never get rid of, and I'm glad we went with the label that we did. And this is Fantastic Four, number 52, first appearance of the Black Panther. He gave it a 5.0, which is exactly what I thought. It's a solid mid-grade. The pressing came out really, really nice. This is just a really, really solid book. And again, this is a sentimental favorite for me to have the Black Panther, the first appearance. God, the more I look at these cases, the more I'm very taken by them. I'm very taken by these. I'm looking at these. These are better cases in my view, and I've been a collector, oh God, for decades. My first book was Hulk number 197, which I probably will get slabbed, back in 1976. So that's how long I've been doing this. I'm extremely delighted with this this professionalism that he has here. These new cases are just dynamite. First appearance of the Black Panther. Let's go down. Oh, this is one. All these mean a lot to me, but each has a bit of a story. Let's go with this one here. I was delighted with the grade that they gave me on this one, because these are not new. I knew what the grades would be, because we talked often, Tony and I, about what grade went with what. So I had already seen these, but I've not seen them in person. Obviously, this is the first time. God, these are so pretty. This is another one that most people will be jealous to have or that they don't have in their collection, and that's the classic Silver Surfer number 4, the classic story of the Thor going against the Silver Surfer. An incredible story. John Buscema art and Stan Lee's story. This is Stan Lee at his best. This is one of his last great stories before he moved on to do other things in Marvel Comics. I have 2 others like this. This was my best one here, and he gave it a nice grade. It's a 6.0. I agree with this. This is hard to get in high grade, but again, I'm delighted to have this, because most of these have just skyrocketed. I can't afford these anymore. I'm just happy that I have these in my collection. Got 3 more here, guys. Let's do this one here. I have the trio, and once I show you the first one, you'll know what the other 2 are. And it's this one here. Let's see. I want to be very careful with these, because they came a long way, and I've waited to get. Again, I've been wanting to slab for a long time. I finally took the leap of faith, and it is nerve-wracking when you send these in the mail, because the lady at the Sonoma post office where I live, she was very, very sweet. She knows of my hobby and my love for comic books, and I said, hey, these are my grails here, so make certain it gets there. And she walked me through the whole thing. And Tony said the same thing. He said, you got to trust the process, and you have to be patient, because especially for these grails here, and they're all grails, you want to do this right. This is and remains kind of an underrated book. This is one of the ones that Tony recommended to get pressed, so I got another half-point bump out of this here, and it's Avengers number 3. This is a classic story. Of all the first 3 Avengers books, this is still not affordable, but it's the least expensive, but you definitely should get your hands on this. I think I paid a couple $100 for this one, and it's really pretty. The colors really pop on this one here. It's a 3.0, but it's a completely solid book. And Tony, the thing with his rating, and I really love the color, by the way. Again, the custom labels, we wanted to do a custom label. I'll show you the other 2 in just a second here. But the colors do pop. And if you notice here, there's an Avengers logo. I hope I can do this. I'm doing this all improv. There's an Avengers logo sort of in not a silhouette fashion, but I guess in a shadow fashion in the background. And that's one of the services that Tony can provide here. That's absolutely delighted. I'm delighted with that. Let's go with the next one. And if you have Avengers 2, you definitely need to, Avengers 3, by the way, you definitely should, if you can, if you have the means, not everyone has the means to do these, get your hands on this one here. Oh, that's pretty. Oh, that's gorgeous. That's really gorgeous. That presents so well. It really, really does. And again, these are solid, solid cases. A nice Avengers #2, second appearance of the Avengers, first appearance of the Space Phantom. I don't think he's ever come back again. I've never seen the Space Phantom again after that one time. But look how pretty that is. And again, the label certainly complements the book. God, I'll be staring at these for the longest time. Not just that I've had them in my collection, but now they're professionally graded by a professional organization. And EGS, by the way, is recognized by CoverPrice, coverprice.com, which I probably will subscribe to, because I don't subscribe to any of those services. I might subscribe to that one because that gives EGS some credibility that they are a recognized company. And I think there should be more companies that should recognize EGS. I certainly do. I would not have sent these grails to EGS if I didn't trust the company and I didn't trust the process here. But this is absolutely gorgeous. And again, it's in my collection probably the rest of my life. If all goes well, my kids will inherit these. And I've saved, not necessarily the best for last, but I will say this is a very sentimental, a deep, deep grail. One I got for, and I haven't mentioned I'm a collector on a budget, always have been on a budget. And, the mistake people think is that, because I have all these deep grails, I must have a lot of money. No. In fact, I might do a video one of these days on collecting on a budget, because that's something we certainly need. And I'll show you all the techniques, everything I did to produce this. So let's do this right here. This is, and I'm glad we did the cover on this, or the label on this one. This is a deep grail, but it is professionally certified by EGS. Now the thing is, I'm not privy to say how I know this, but a lot of fakes are coming into the market. And people are getting, I don't know how, very, very good at replicating some of these Silver Age books and even Golden Age books, I guess. So some have tried to be passed, and I won't say anymore because I don't have authorization to say how I know this. But to have this professionally graded and recognized as a book tells me that I've got a deep, deep grail. And again, this will be an heirloom for the longest time, and that's Avengers #1. First appearance of the Avengers. Still to this day an underrated book, and underrated as far as price, because again, this is with the MCU focused clearly around this team without the Fantastic Four and others, and X-Men, they might catch up, but Avengers is it. So I have an Avengers 1 in my collection, professionally graded and slabbed inside this beautiful, beautiful case. He gave it a 1.8, which I agree with completely. But you know what? It is complete. It's not missing any pages. It's got some tape and other restoration on it. Another thought about this book, by the way, speaking of restoration. One thing I wasn't aware of, because when I bought it, I knew it had restoration tape on it. The guy who I bought it from was very clear in the description. But I got it for just under $1,000. And I said, wow, I'll take it. Because I looked at the others, they were a couple thousand, if not more. And I said, well, if it's a raw copy, I might get it slabbed at some point. The restoration, you won't be able to see it from here, but it's where Loki's sleeve is. Someone did, it was an amateur restoration, but with the color matching, it wasn't all that bad. Tony said, you have an option, that I have an option, that I could have had this removed. So he could have just basically cut that out, and then you have a bit of a hole, maybe the size of a dime, on the cover, and then you would not get the restored grade, because this is his EGS restored grade. And I said, no, I know it's a restored grade. So leave it the way it is, because it presents much better. And again, I'm not going to resell this. This is a beautiful, beautiful copy. And again, it's all mine. It's all mine. It's nobody else's. This also dovetails with a thought we might talk about later on. Restored grades. This is from 1963. This is literally older than I am. So this is now, this is 60 years old. Came out in September. So this is literally becoming, its 60th birthday is in a couple months. These comics aren't getting any younger. And we're going to have to, all as collectors, especially ones that collect Silver and Golden Age books, rethink how much restoration should we accept. Now, I know that the standard, the industrial standard with all the slabbing companies, they allow tape to be on the cover without knocking it, or without putting it in the restored grade category. I think we ought to think about doing more than that, because again, we don't want these going away. I'd like to pass these down to my children, or even possible their children, if they ever have any. I want this restored as long as possible because they're not going to last forever. But helping slabbing these helps the preservation of these books because now they're now not exposed to the elements and that sort of thing. So I'm giving my highest recommendation for those that want to go with EGS. That if you want a reliable grading company, go with Tony. He's easy to work with. Now, regarding the current market, let's be fair and honest about it. CGC is still the number one company as far as buying and selling. If you're buying and selling, that probably isn't for you, but that doesn't mean that EGS won't at some point catch up in this particular market. Because keep in mind, when CGC started about 20 years ago, actually in the year 2000, I think they started, it didn't catch on right away. It was an idea that most people had never heard of. I think they started to get some traction in about 5 or 6 years, and then the ball started to roll, and now they have become literally the standard bearer of comic collecting. I think it's a huge mistake. And again, given what they did, look at how prominent their mistake. And I say it was a mistake to change the way they're grading. They lost me completely as a customer. These easily could have went to CGC, but I decided I don't trust you guys anymore. I'm putting it in this my faith in this company, in this grading company, and look how beautiful these are. These are my fun, multicolored books, Avengers 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to be very careful putting this down. I don't want, because I went to a lot of trouble to do this. So let's very carefully not have any mistakes in my first episode. There we go. I treat them like my kids. So, guys, that's my first episode here, an EGS unboxing. You won't see a boxing like this anytime soon, except for my next phase. I told Tony we're doing phase 2 and phase 3, and I'll show you what those are in short order. But I'm delighted with the service. I'm delighted with the product. Tony, thank you so much. You, my friend, you and I are going to be in touch because I've talked to you about the next wave of comics that are coming your way. Everyone, thanks for joining for the Ian Hoodrat Network. I'm Dan De La Torre, and this is Comic Book Corner.